Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Find Your Force Project by Sanctus Nutrition. My name is Dr. Alex Brewer. I'm a pharmacist, the founder of Sanctus Nutrition, and our goal with this episode, as with everything we do, is to help you perform, look, and feel your best. This week, we've got a first for the show, our first dual interview. I sat down with Rick and Kristen Markoski, founders of Markoski Fitness. They are a husband and wife power couple who found each other through fitness, and they've been on a journey to learn and grow as personal trainers together. Kristen's background is actually in pole fitness, which we discuss at length in this episode, and you will learn a lot about it if you're not already familiar with it. But once she met Rick, she quickly fell in love with lifting as he introduced her and taught her his style of exercise. The two have a strong desire to help others reach their goals and find their own love for health and fitness in their home state of West Virginia. This is a great episode where we talk about personal training, starting a business, working with clients from beginners to more advanced lifters. There's something in here for everyone. So please enjoy my conversation with Rick and Kristen Markoski. Kristen, Rick, welcome to the podcast. How's it going?
Thank you. Good. What's going on?
Not much on this end. I am excited to speak with you two, get some insight into your life as trainers. You're just two very interesting people that I had the pleasure of meeting at the Arnold convention, and I have been excited to speak with you all and work with you ever since. So yeah, let's dive into your background. So on our pre-podcast chat yesterday, you both mentioned you weren't exactly the best at sports in high school, and I can relate to that. So how did you get your start in, fitness and health in general?
You first.
Okay, so I was in college. I was scared to death of the gym. I didn't know anyone that went to the gym, so I ended up seeing a video of someone pole dancing on YouTube, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And I ended up ordering a pole, putting it up in my living room, and teaching myself through YouTube. I did that for about 2 years, and then we met, and I was like, well, this is cool. You lift a lot, so I'd like to really get into that too. And here I am.
Mm-hmm. I was in high school. I did my activities of choice were band and theater, and I played in like a bunch of different rock bands and like all the different school bands, and I acted and did stage crew and everything. I didn't really do sports at all, and I was really tall and really skinny, and I didn't like how I carried myself, and I felt like very unconfident. And I was just like really skinny, and I just wanted to lift and gain some muscle. And when I started doing it, like within the few first months, I felt really good about myself. I just kept going. Freshman year of college, I put on a bunch of weight, good weight. And just after that, I was like, wow, I can really change my body. It's cool.
Yeah, I like how you clarify that it was good weight, because for a lot of people, the freshman weight they put on is not what we would call good weight. Not related to this, but I have to ask, what instruments do you play?
Trombone, piano, drums, and guitar.
All right, so very well-rounded, all over the board.
Thanks.
So Kristen, that's interesting that your start was in pole fitness, which we're going to talk about a little later, but then you got into weightlifting once you met Rick, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Rick, how did you go about learning? Since it sounds like a lot of people play sports in high school, they get instruction through those kind of coaches.
Mm-hmm.
What was your method? Was it just self-learning online, coach?
Yeah, because I started lifting in a small gym in my town growing up, just like right before I went to college. And it was a lot of just seeing all my friends or like older friends lift. And then when I got to the WVU Rec Center, it was like really busy. There was a lot of older college kids around, so I'd watch what they were doing and just try to do that. And then got more into it myself and started figuring out what to do online and things. But with all that said, there was a lot of trial and error, because when you just learn from random people or you learn from the internet, like it doesn't go very well. So, I didn't really start learning the best things to do until like halfway through my like college career, because my classes were based around it.
And did you film yourself for feedback on the major lifts?
No, not for the first couple of years. Probably by the time I got to junior year and I was starting to really like push heavier weights.
If you could go back and do it again, is that something you would change?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel
What?
I feel the same way. So I didn't really have a coach either, and ended up getting a couple back injuries, which we'll also talk about later. And a big thing I recommend to people starting out now, so they can avoid that, is filming yourself, getting the technique down before you start adding too much weight on the bar.
Yeah, I always wish that my present self of 24 years old could go back and coach my 18-year-old self.
Yeah, that's a big goal for this podcast, is to get that information that people like us wish we had when we were beginning out to people now, so they can avoid the mistakes we all.
Yeah.
So did you come into college undeclared? Because I know you ended up majoring in sports and exercise psychology. Did your journey into health that freshman year influence that decision?
Yeah, I came in as a music major. I had done a bunch of auditions at different schools, so I was like really serious about it. That was my life at that point, just music. I wanted to be a music teacher. And then I got to freshman year, started lifting a bunch, and I just quit the music major straight up because I lost interest completely once I started working out. And I did a general education major for a while until I ended up picking sport and exercise psych.
Very cool. So let's jump into training. What does your current training routine look like?
You first.
So we're on an upper lower body split. So we do lower body twice a week and upper body twice a week. You want to add to that?
And the core work that we do, so like core stability work goes in there every day. So we're always getting core stability, and then our stretching is every day as well. So we usually do our core and stretching at the end of our workout for about a half hour total, and they kind of like flow with each other. And yeah, so lower body, usually I'll get maybe like squats, front squats for me because my back injury, sumo lifts once again because my back injury, maybe step ups, and then some small, more bodybuilding movements like the machines, leg extension, hamstring curl, and then a lot of like glute focused work that is more body weight. Like you see people doing glute kickbacks and stuff just on the ground with body weight. And then we go into our core stuff. What's your lower body day kind of look like?
So my lower body days are completely different than his because I have a back injury. Mine's different. So bilateral movements really agitate the injury. So I'm kind of limited to step-ups, lunges, split squats. I can do GHD, which I love, and glute bridges or cable pull-throughs. That's normally the things that I cycle through.
Yeah, you'll see that our training is a little bit limited by our injury recovery.
I would imagine, but that's very useful because there's a lot of people walking around with those types of injuries, and a lot of them just get discouraged from training at all. And so I think it's really useful to have examples like you two who are not only training, but you're training other people, and you are finding ways around your injuries to keep working. Yeah. What's an example of the core and flexibility workouts?
So the core is all stability based. We try to make our core static movements. So plank variations and side plank variations. Pallof Press is a really cool exercise. If anybody out there wants to go look that one up, it's really useful. You can do that with a cable or a resistance band.
How is that spelled?
Pallof, I believe. There might be an extra F in there.
Okay.
Doesn't matter too much. It's an awesome exercise.
For everyone watching and listening, we will have links, etc., to everything that Kristen and Rick talk about today. That way, you all don't have to do the search work. We got that for you.
Cool. Dead bugs with exercise ball is an awesome one. And as far as the planks, the side planks go, I know that, after a certain skill level or strength level, planks can get pretty easy. But what we do is we do certain progressions.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's say a minute of regular planking on your elbows is too easy. What we can start doing is variations where you put one arm out to the side for 5 seconds, then you switch 5 seconds, and you keep doing that. Having that, that limb out to the side really forces you to contract your whole core to keep your body straight. Just variations like that. Bird dogs are another good one that we like to do.
I'm going to have a lot of research because I have almost every core movement you mentioned I have not heard of, which is awesome. I'm excited to learn something new.
Cool.
Does your routine change throughout the years? So for some people, they go through the whole bulking, cutting cycle. Their routine changes with that. How does that look for you all?
So we don't really bulk. We don't bulk or cut. We kind of maintain through the whole year.
Healthy.
Yeah.
Healthy and functional. Healthy and functional.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'd say that it kind of changes based on our schedule and things. Like right now, we'll work out 4 days a week. It might turn out to be 5 or 6 if we are having some good weeks where we don't need many off days.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not feeling too sore, so we can just keep rotating back and forth between upper and lower days. If we have a really busy schedule, we'll probably do like 3 days a week of training, and we'll make them full body days.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more of like a circuit style workout. And the way we do those, our full body days, is generally speaking, we get a even amount of lower body exercises, upper body push exercises, and upper body pull exercises, because we see those as the main 3 movement categories for like the weightlifting movements. And there's also, we like doing Olympic lifting, but right now we're not doing it too much because we're kind of hurt. But we do an Olympic lifting style program too, where we mainly focus on the clean and jerk and snatch and all the accessory movements.
Very cool. What made you focus on those 2 Olympic movements? Is it based on just restrictions with the injuries, or is it you two find a lot of benefit from those?
Well, I like competitive weightlifting, like the Olympic lifting competitions. Oh, hey, dude. And the snatch and clean and jerk are the only 2 Olympic lifts. So if I was preparing for something like a competition, I would be focusing on those and all of the accessory lifts for those. I just find them so athletic. It's so cool to move the bar around your body and move your body around the bar. It's kind of about manipulating your body around the bar and vice versa.
So at the Arnold, I got to see my first Olympic competition. So my friend, Dr. Antonio Booker, who's also a pharmacist, competes in Olympic lifting, and he qualified and competed at the Arnold. So that was eye-opening for me. I'd never seen a competition live, and just especially talking to him before and during, just learning everything that goes on, how long you have to stay kind of mentally in the zone for those lifts. It was amazing. Have you all competed before?
I have not competed. The Arnold was actually the first time I had watched a competition. So it was really crazy.
I coach. I'm a USAW coach, so I'd rather be doing the coaching than competing, really, because since my back surgery, I haven't really hit any numbers I'm too impressed with. But the technique is still there, so I can show it to other people and get them to the level that they need to be.
So looking at flexibility, we discussed this a little yesterday. Rick, you and I are 2 people who are not the most flexible. I think we can agree on that. Kristen, you are. So talk us through but for both of you, your flexibility routine.
Okay, so when I started pole, I quickly learned that most of these tricks require a ton of flexibility, and I was not flexible. I basically started from 0. Wasn't really someone that could easily touch my toes ever. So I started from the ground up. And I ended up finding this woman who competed in pole competitions, and she had won the Australian pole dance competition, and she ended up doing a
DVD kind of thing?
Yeah, it was like a DVD where she walks you through like a routine of stretches. And I ended up getting my splits within 2 to 3 months, which was kind of unsuspected. So basically, we kind of do the same stretches at this point.
Mm-hmm. So we train together.
Yeah. We implement yoga into the stretches that we do, but we just hold them for a while. Lots of child pose. I really like downward dog for my shoulders because they do not like to open up.
I try to target specific areas of my stretching. I think when she does it, it's a little bit more yoga based, where she's hitting like poses, and mine is more targeting, like the chest area or the glutes area or something like that. So I just try to hit. I got to be time efficient because I don't want to be at the gym forever. So I try to hit one good stretch for each major muscle, about 45 seconds each stretch.
Mm-hmm. What are some examples? So you're trying to hit each major body part with one stretch. What are some good stretches for that?
Let's see. For hamstrings, I like the lying hamstring stretch where you're lying on your back and you put a band around your foot and you pull your foot back. I like that because it involves no rounding of the lower back. I know that you can get a hamstring stretch by bending over and touching your toes, but that can really irritate a lot of people. So when I do my stretching, I like to keep a neutral spine. You can do the same thing, the lying glute stretch. I wish I could show you guys these stretches right now, but I'm sure you can find online easily. Lying glute stretch, you kind of like put your ankle over your knee while you're lying on the ground and then pull back. I like the cobra stretch. It helps ease my back pain. I do a lot of calf stretching because I found that after I got my nerve pain going down my right leg, I needed my calves to loosen up or else I wouldn't be able to bend forward much. Little things like being able to bend over and touch my toes pretty much went away after I get injured. And that's important to me because I feel very dysfunctional if I can't do something as simple as bend over and touch my toes, and I want to be able to do that. As a trainer, I want to look the part. I don't want someone to see me and be like, wow, you're really, really stiff. Why don't you stretch?
Yeah, it makes it hard if you're telling them to stretch and then
exactly
basically don't.
Yeah.
So do you all enjoy stretching, or is it just something you do because you should?
Ever since I've gotten into more of a lifting style, it seems more of a
chore.
It is a chore at this point. I used to really love it, but sometimes I can get in the mood of it, really get in the zone, and I'll really enjoy it because afterward I just feel so much better.
Yeah, honestly, I can't say that I'm ever excited to stretch beforehand. Like, when I get a lift, I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to kill it right now. But when I get that half hour at the end of my workout that I know I have to stretch, I am not really enthused. But I think for a lot of people, including me regarding stretching, being fit sometimes comes down to just doing stuff you don't feel like doing because you have to do it. Like, it's not always going to be fun. And so I just do it because I know that if I don't do it, I'll be in pain afterwards.
Yeah. I asked the question because I am the exact same way. I can go into a lift and be super excited, super pumped for it. And then it comes to the end of the workout and I know I need to stretch. And the main thing I want to do is go home, shower, and eat. Right. Mm-hmm. So for me, for a while, I've gotten in a good routine finally, but it was always something that ended up getting skipped or kind of half-assed. Mm-hmm. And, but then I would notice as I got stronger that if I didn't stretch, I was totally, totally screwed whenever I'd go in for that next workout, and my weights would stop moving. How do you
Yeah.
all work with your clients that probably have that same mindset? So that they're gung-ho about getting in the gym, working out. They're probably also equally excited as far as fixing their nutrition. And then we get to the flexibility portion, which is for many people a little more, I don't want to say boring, but less exciting. What's your motivation there?
Hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I usually do is early on in our first few training sessions, I will go over all the stretches that I want them to do on their own time. And I want them to do it on their own time for a specific reason. I'll tell you in a second. But I will, do them all with them and make sure they know how to do them correctly. And then I'll write down the stretches at the end of the stretching session. I'll give it to them. And I'll say, I want you to do this on your cardio days where you use the treadmill or the elliptical or whatever. Or your off days, something like 3 times a week for a half hour each stretching session. And I know that hopefully if they're doing what I had said, that they are getting enough stretching time to make them good and healthy, they're loose enough to come in. The reason that I want them to do it on their own time is because the people that we have as clients are really paying us to get a great workout, and most of them are weight loss clients. So stretching typically doesn't get your heart rate up very much. And if I spend too much time on stretching, I found that the client can actually get kind of irritated because as far as they're concerned, they're not getting a good workout. You and I both know it's necessary to stretch, but they want that workout where their breath, they're breathing heavy, their heart's pumping, they're sweating, they're sore, their muscles are sore, everything. So if I spend too much time on something that they think is mellow, they might get a little irritated, discouraged, and not want to come as much. So I give it to them as homework.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
So depending on the client, I have one client who's a runner and she likes to go into yoga. So I don't really assign stretches for her.
She's already doing it. So
she just loves it. She's great.
Perfect client.
Seriously. But other than that, I'd say basically the same way Rick goes about it. I mean, because if you don't assign it to someone, they're not going to do it because, when you start lifting or doing anything, you don't really think about stretching. Like, why is that important to me? And then you learn the hard way.
Yeah. And also if someone comes in, they're having a bad day, like they're really tired from work and they're like, dude, I feel like if we go as hard as we always do, I'm going to throw up. Or they're sick. They're like, I can barely breathe today. I'm so sick. I'll be like, let's make today stretching day. So there's little ways to throw it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that assigning it as homework is kind of a good way to measure whether or not the client is doing the other work you ask them to do at home as well? So I'm also going to go ahead and make a safe assumption that you don't cook for them during their sessions either. So a lot of the nutrition stuff they have to do on their own. Have you found that measuring whether or not they do the stretching kind of gives insight into whether or not they're making other changes outside the training sessions?
I would definitely say so. How seriously they take the things that we suggest to them really shows what they're willing to do outside of the gym, which is, just as important as a workout.
Right. We definitely have a mix of all levels. We have people that don't do any of the stuff that we tell them to do outside of the gym. Then we have people that they just listen to us so well and they're like, all right, I trust them. I'm going to do it. And then, a couple months later down the road, they've lost 20 pounds, 30 pounds, whatever, and they see the benefit and they're like, wow, I'm glad I did that. So, and then we've got everything in between, people that try but fall off the wagon every week or so. So yeah, we can judge their commitment level by what they do outside of the gym as well. And little things like showing up on time, stuff like that.
I want to jump into the pole fitness.
Okay.
Kristen, you briefly mentioned how it was kind of your first entry, I guess, into health and fitness. Can you go a little bit more into how you discovered it? What made you take the leap to invest in that first pole and get started with it?
Okay. Well, my freshman year of college, I gained the freshman 15. And I ended up going to the gym, and I just did a lot of cardio and any machine that I saw because I had no idea what was happening. And, I kept doing that. And I wasn't really getting where I wanted to be. Fast forward to my sophomore year, I saw a video. It was like a Rihanna song, and she had a pole dancer in her video. And I was just like, that's incredibly athletic. Like, I really want to try that. And I had been searching for some kind of fitness related outlet that I could go for. And again, I was so afraid to go to the gym by myself. And I just ordered a pole on Amazon, and it came within a week. I put it up, and I went through YouTube for hours at a time. Yeah.
Self-taught, right?
Yeah, I'm completely self-taught. It was really hard.
I would imagine, we talk about how hard it is to learn squats, deadlifts, overhead press without a coach. I would imagine that is equally as hard to learn without someone instructing you. It sounds like this was kind of the first fitness related thing you found that you enjoyed and looked forward to doing every day. Is that accurate?
Oh, definitely. I had never really felt good doing cardio or running or any of that really. And when I started pole, I was like, it feels great. Like, I can lift my body weight for the first time in my life. And I fell in love, and I was obsessed with it.
Yeah. I love that story because I made a post on Instagram about this the other day, but too many people view exercise as a chore. They, hear from their friends or whoever, you have to do this, you have to do that. And they end up resenting it, which in the long run is not good. So it's awesome to have stories like this where you found something different, you found something you enjoyed doing, and later down the road that led you into strength training and other things that are beneficial for you. You mentioned, it felt awesome to be able to lift your body weight for the first time. What were some of the other benefits you found once you started this?
I felt better about myself. I just felt more confident just in the way that, he mentioned earlier, just in the way that I carried myself. I started getting some shoulders and some biceps. That was really fun too. I was
core was strong.
Yeah, I had a really strong core from it. I just felt great.
It probably gave you something to look forward to after a hard day of school.
Definitely. I live close to campus, and I would always listen to music, and the whole time I was just being like, oh, during this part of the song, this is what I'm going to do. This is the trick that I want to do here. It was my life.
Would you say it had a lot of carry over as you started to get into strength training?
Definitely. I was already really flexible going into lifting, and that helped immensely with the way that I lifted. He was able to quickly teach me how to snatch and clean and jerk because I already had the mobility for it, which was really fun.
You avoided that awkward beginning point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say that people need to find their source of preferred exercise. Exercise doesn't always mean going to the gym and lifting or going to the gym and doing cardio. It could be buying a cycling bike and starting to bike on the road, or it could be, hiking outdoors. It can be anything. I mean, it doesn't have to be something that bores you. There's so many different ways to be active.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you mentioned. I had a good friend who lost close to 40 pounds because he the way he described it to me, he discovered cycling and he felt like he was a kid again, riding his bike around, and it's something he could do for hours at a time, whereas going to the gym just wasn't enjoyable for him. And that's just a big take-home message for everyone. We're going to keep hammering that point, but especially when you're starting off, do what you enjoy doing. It shouldn't be a chore. It shouldn't be something that makes you miserable.
Mhm.
With the pole, if someone were looking to start off doing this, how would you lead them through that? What would you recommend?
Okay. I would say first off, Google pole studios in your area, because if you can learn from someone, I would definitely recommend learning from a qualified instructor. I face certain obstacles that someone that would go to a studio wouldn't. Like, what if I fall in this move? I live in a 1-bedroom apartment by myself. I hope everything's okay.
Probably creating habits that you can't break.
Definitely.
Right.
I'm left-handed, so everything I do is dominant on the left side. And for the longest time, I avoided doing stuff on my right side, which created lots of imbalances, which carried over to lifting as well. I could lift way more weight on the left side than the right. So that's something I had to work through.
And a pole studio would probably try to develop you evenly, right?
They would make you do both sides.
Right.
And I probably waited a year to start working on my right side, which is definitely not suggested. But I would definitely say look up pole studios in your area. And if that's not a thing, I mean, in West Virginia, I didn't have that there. I bought my own pole because I was like, I love music. Let's just do some stuff to it and learn from YouTube. And I ended up there's something called Cleo's Rockin' Pole, where she has like over 1,000 tutorials of different pole tricks and spins and just all this stuff that you can learn. That way you do have some guidance, and do it on both sides.
What's it called again?
Cleo's Rockin' Pole.
Okay. And what about equipment?
Yeah, so a pole. So you can easily get on Amazon and buy a cheap pole, or Spencer's, or any adult store, but I would say please do not do that. Disclaimer on there that says this is not for dancing. It is for
like decoration or something like that.
Yeah, decoration. So please do not buy one of those and jump on it, because if it falls, it is not going to feel good.
Yeah, they're not made very sturdy. It's like buying whatever sport the people are watching. The people that are watching whatever sport you play, think about buying something from Walmart versus buying it from like a specialty store for your sport.
Definitely. So I bought a pole from Amazon. It was not a good pole. I survived, but it ended up moving on the ceiling while I was on it, and it dented my ceiling. And then I was like, okay, it's time. And I ended up buying an X pole. That is the competition grade pole. Like, even when you go to the Arnold's or any kind of pole competition, they will be using an X pole. I would definitely say go for that. There are lots of finishes that you can get, but chrome is standard.
Very cool. Let's shift into injuries. Let's talk, first just give us a brief overview of the injuries you all are having to work through.
My major one is my lower back. I got a back surgery in April 2016, and I got that mainly from strongman type activities. So strongman is the kind of sport where you lift the Atlas stones and you carry the really heavy yokes, and you flip very, very large tractor tires that are, each tractor tire flip is kind of like a max deadlift, but you're in a really, really vulnerable position with your lower back being really rounded, things like that. I remember in a few of those activities, that's when I really injured myself the worst. And so I've been rehabbing that since April 2016. I mean, there's always something little that comes up with it. It's never completely fixed. So we have a really, really good sports chiropractor right now who is, he trains the trainers. He works on trainers and strength coaches to make sure they're healthy, and he gives the trainers and strength coaches techniques that they can teach their clients. So he's top notch, and we're glad we found someone that worked with like sports, things like that.
How often would you say you go in for sessions?
About once a week.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. The flexibility part has been large in recovering. Glute strength has been really big because when you have like a lower back injury, with mine anyway, the case was that my lower back got really tight and was doing all the work during all my lifts, and even like standing, just my posture, my lower back was really tight and really doing most of the work. My glutes were not strong enough. And so if I strengthen my glutes, I can take some stress off of my lower back. Same thing with the front of my core, where the abdominals are. If I strengthen all of those correctly with those static movements I was talking about, I can take a lot of stress off of my lower back. So basically what I had was called lower cross syndrome, right?
I think so.
Yeah, lower cross syndrome. It's kind of where your pelvis is tilted so your butt sticks out and your stomach sticks out a bit, and that puts a lot of stress on your lower back.
Mm-hmm. Kristen, what about you?
So I had, for a year, it was treated as a hip injury. So I would get this really sharp pain in my left hip flexor, basically walking up steps, sitting, literally doing anything. And they had me strengthen my glutes, which took some of the pain away, but that didn't get me to the point where I could lift again. And then we ended up seeing the sports chiropractor that we're at now, and he saw me squat and he was like, oh, well, here's your problem. When I squat, my hips are tilting. So my left hip is going to the back, and it's really putting a lot of stress, and it's making my vertebrae curve to the right. So I have a back injury and not a hip one. And I'm very thankful that I know that's the problem now, because I can lift. You know, I may not be able to do squats right now, but I can go very heavy on my lunges or step ups and reap the same rewards.
Sounds like the chiropractor was instrumental for both of you in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
How did you all find him? Was that a recommendation from someone, or you just looked him up?
Yeah, I ran into him at the gym. He was wearing a shirt of one of the lifting competitions that I coached someone at, and I was like, oh, I've been there before. And we started talking, and I found out that he owned his own sports performance business to rehab athletes. And so I hit him up and we got in there. So I guess it just goes to show that like being social in the gym is good, because you never know who you might meet, I guess. I try to meet everybody when I'm at the gym. It can screw me over sometimes because I might be there longer than I wanted to be, but it's nice.
You get nice benefits like meeting this chiropractor. How did he end up, I guess, going that route, getting that experience for training, focusing on athletic injuries and recovery? Do you know?
He was a Division I college strength and conditioning coach for like 10 years, he said. And he was at Olympic trials for track and field. So I guess that was really his thing, like pushing his body athletically. And then strength and conditioning is training athletes in the weight room to get more explosive in their sport and also prevent injury. So he was already kind of in that realm. So I guess he wanted to branch off into something different.
So when you all were, your injury's been diagnosed, you kind of have a plan to work back. How did you figure out exercises you could do, couldn't do, shouldn't do? Was that recommended by the chiropractor? Was it through just self-experimentation? This hurts, I should probably lay off that for a little bit. Because I think that's something, I've had a couple injuries. I know people who have them, and it's tough because you want to be in the gym, you want to be working out, but you're also scared that you're going to aggravate something and you're going to be out for even longer. So what did that process look like?
It was a lot of experimentation for me, honestly. It didn't really make sense until the chiropractor said, it's a lower back problem, not your hip. And then I was like, oh, okay. And there was one day when I did take the squats and the deadlifts out, and I had no pain. So I was, okay, this is how I'm going to have to train from now on until this gets fixed.
For me, it was a lot of like, I could do the movements that I wanted to. Like I could clean and jerk and snatch and squat and deadlift. I could do it at the weights I wanted to, and my form was good and everything, but it wouldn't even hurt during the lifting session. So I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm good. But then in the next like 2 days, it would be like excruciating, and I would just want to not go into work because I train people and I have to be like lifting stuff all day. So basically finding out what exercises didn't make me really, really hurt the next couple of days afterwards. And going off of what she said, that like a few people before had diagnosed it as a hip injury, and then she went to one person and they finally figured out it was a lower back injury. Obviously that was really frustrating for her because she spent a year doing, stuff that didn't really solve it. If you're going to someone and you keep just not experiencing results, don't be afraid to get a second opinion, go elsewhere, because there's always a solution for your problem. Like seriously, there's always a solution, and not every professional has the same background or qualifications. It's kind of like there's mechanics that will do a really good job on your car, and there's mechanics that will do a so-so job. They're both mechanics, but they're not on the same level. Like if you're not satisfied with your service, don't just think that like, oh, chiropractic doesn't do anything. No, that's not the case. The chiropractor that you saw just isn't working for you. Go see a different one.
Right.
So just keep trying.
And our first chiropractor worked at a wellness center. And the one we go to now is specifically for sports. So it's important to find someone that's really looking out for you. You don't want to be able to get back to working order. You want to get back to doing what you want to do without pain.
Right. For all the people out there that are athletes that are watching, if you go to a normal physical therapy place that just gets people back to normal functioning level, that might not work for you because you're not trying to function normally. You're trying to push your body to the limits because so you got to find a chiropractor or a physical therapist or whatever that is looking to get you to your elite ability level, and isn't just going to say, oh, well, you should stop lifting or you should stop wrestling or whatever your sport is.
Right.
Obviously, we're not going to stop. We love our sports. So you got to get someone who's going to get you back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Do you all have clients that you train that are working through injuries? And if so, how do you as trainers approach that?
So I have one client who has 2 herniated discs, actually. He has herniated discs and I have a lower back problem. So I'm pretty confident that I'm able to work around her problem just as much. And I'm pretty sure she said that her back pain has actually subsided a little bit since she's strengthening stuff more roundly.
Mm-hmm. I've got clients, I've had a few that have had back surgeries, and the core training that we do really helps them. Mm-hmm. And then, basically the way I attack things is for someone who's given me an alert for a previous injury, in their consultation, they said they had a meniscus tear or something like that. Mm-hmm. When we do exercises that could possibly involve those structures, I'll always say, if this gives you any type of weird pain, please let me know and I'll change it up instantly. Like, I never want them to feel pressured that they have to do an exercise just because I told them to. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to be a drill sergeant. I'm here to work with them because everybody's body is different. So just paying attention to joint pain and things like that. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a big difference between muscle soreness because you just did a million reps versus joint soreness because something's clicking or popping.
Love it. So a good transition from that. I want to talk about your certification as trainers. So could each of you explain, I know you have different certs, what your certification is and what the process looked like to get that?
Oh, okay. So the 2 that I have right now are, I have the NSCA CSCS, which stands for the National Strength and Conditioning Association, and it is their Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist certification. And that's more geared towards sports performance and training athletes in the weight room to be more explosive, better endurance, less prone to injury, stronger, faster, everything like that. And I like it. It actually carries over to our business very well because we train our clients in an athletic way. We don't want them to just look good. We want them to perform good in daily life, perform well, I guess, in daily life. And so I like that a lot. It's a unique certification, and it allows me to have something a little different brought to the table. And then my other one is the USA Weightlifting certification, which is administered by the U.S. Olympic Committee. That's specifically to teach the Olympic movements, so the snatch and clean and jerk and all of their accessory lifts to people who want to do it as a hobby or to get in better shape or also to compete in Olympic lifting competitions. And Olympic lifting doesn't mean it's for the Olympics. It's just the style of lifting.
And I have the ACE Certified Personal Training Certification. And so my background is environmental science, minored in biology, which is obviously not too relevant to fitness. So I basically mentored under him for
What, 2 years?
About 2 years. And then I was like, I'd really love to train people. And I studied for the personal training certification for a few months and took the test, and I passed it and did very well. And I really enjoyed the certification. They're very detailed about not just how to do an exercise, but should this person do the exercise. And they went over posture a lot, which, you know, you have a lot of people at desk jobs, they're going to have, you know, not very good posture. And it really taught me how to diagnose that, how I can work against that to help them, you know, feel better again. And yeah.
How'd you prepare for everything?
Oh, I said that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So mine, I forgot to mention how I prepared for it all. The Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist I was really confident by the time I took that one because of my strength and conditioning minor at WVU. So if anybody out there watching is like looking for a good program for their kid or for themselves, West Virginia University was, I couldn't be more happy with the bachelor's degree that I got because sport and exercise psychology was very interesting. It kept me involved. And then strength and conditioning minor was really, really hands-on. And there's not many universities across the country that have a strength and conditioning minor. And also to go along with that, their programs are Division I, and they're very large Division I. So you get a lot of really, really good coaches teaching the classes to the students. You actually get the strength and conditioning coaches that coach the football teams, you know, they're teaching the classes. So that's so good to have such experienced people showing you what to do. So that prepared me really well. And the USA Weightlifting course is a weekend certification course. You know, it's typically a Saturday and a Sunday, about 10 hours both days. And that's hands-on as well. What they do there is they teach you how to coach athletes on the lifts, and it's all like a big workshop. It's not a written test or anything. There's a lot of lifting involved, and the coach that teaches it is usually one of the best in the country. I believe USAW has like 5 levels of coaches, and usually it's like a level 5 coach that teaches the class. So you really learn a lot of good stuff. Typically those coaches are the ones that are at international competitions elsewhere in the world, like traveling everywhere to the world championships and things like that. So it was really cool.
What advantage do you think your certifications give you when it comes to training clients, and what is the advantage to the client in working with trainers who have this background versus, say, someone who works out a lot. They're in great shape, but they haven't necessarily gone through the type of training you two have gone through.
So having the proper education allows you to be able to train anyone, where if you just know how to train yourself, you're at a big disadvantage because there's a lot of unique discrepancies in everybody's body. Like, everyone's body is so different that just because I can make myself in shape doesn't mean I can make someone else in shape with the same techniques. It's going to take totally different techniques and programs to make a different person progress.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that made any sense. I worded that really oddly, but everyone is so different that you need to be able to adapt to every single person's body and personality, because people's personality really affects how well they latch onto what you're saying, because people respond so differently. I could say one thing to someone and they'll respond positively, and I could say the same exact thing to another person and they might respond negatively and, get annoyed or something, or just get discouraged. So it's all about learning your client as an individual and knowing what makes them tick,
Yeah, I love that you mentioned the personality bit, because I think, again, that is what can turn a lot of people off, is they have someone they may follow that they're looking up to, and the way that person coaches or communicates just doesn't mesh with that trainee's personality. And it's not that either one of them are wrong. It's just, like you said, a different way of communicating, different way of being motivated. And for people who take that, my way or the highway approach,
Yeah.
it can turn off a lot of clients. So it sounds like by going through that training, you all have learned how to handle a wide variety of the population. And then that enables you to get the best out of your clients, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Say an advantage that we have from these certifications is, by getting this kind of education, they make you focus on stuff that you would overlook. Like I mentioned with posture, that's not something I really would have thought about had I not gone through this training. Yeah.
Things that you might not encounter much training people, but you might encounter like once a year, just like really odd situations you'll be more prepared for, because they taught you everything that can possibly go wrong.
And
liability is a big one too. Legal issues and things are a big one that you need to watch out for, and all those certifications go over that too, so that's good. Go ahead.
And coming from pole, I was really flexible, and if I hadn't gone through this training, it would be easy for me to be like, oh, I can do this, so someone else can. And that really reminded me, there are people that can't
do certain stretches,
certain
exercises,
certain movements, because they're just that tight. I would definitely say that's an advantage we've gotten from our certifications.
Yeah,
I'm able to really take myself out of my perspective and look at it from theirs, because
That's what you were trained to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's talk Markoski Fitness. Give everyone watching and listening some background on your training business.
So we moved from Morgantown, West Virginia in June of last year, so just 2017. And we got here, big city, not knowing anybody, and we had to get clients right away in a city where we knew nobody. So we found a gym where the owner has a fully stocked facility with equipment and everything, and he rents out space to clients. So we pay him a certain amount per month, and we get to conduct our own business out of his warehouse gym. So it's all our own rules, our own prices, our own schedule and everything. We don't technically have a boss, we just have a landlord. And so we train on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and we expect all of our clients to come Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to train with us for resistance training. So we only train them for resistance training because that is one of the trickiest parts of getting fit. learning what to do, how to do it, when to do it, what not to do, involving lifting weights and things like that. And usually the cardio part is typically the easiest to figure out on your own, because you can go to the gym and walk at a fast pace on the treadmill for a half hour. And generally for most people, as long as you are exerting yourself highly, you're sweating, you're breathing heavy, you are having a good workout, the cardio is pretty straightforward. You're not going to injure yourself on the elliptical or something. But typically no. But the strength training is very specific. You don't want to get injured. You want to be doing it safe, and you want to get the stuff done right in the least amount of time. You want to be efficient. You don't want to waste time.
Mm-hmm.
So we help people with that. We don't expect anyone to pay us to help them with cardio. They can do the cardio on their own. We're not going to waste their money being like, oh, let me stand next to you on the treadmill and make sure you're doing your thing. They don't need to pay us for that. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then we expect that 2 times per week they do their low intensity or medium intensity, high if they're really motivated, cardio. And so that makes for a total of 5 days per week of exercise in and out of our gym. That's perfect for our clients. And what else? Let's see. It's barely small group training. It's just 1 to 2 people, which I think 2 people is awesome because it gives you a little partner to work out with, and it's motivating because you can push each other. And, you might be having a bad day coming into that workout, but your partner isn't. And that partner's good mood might uplift your bad mood and take you into a good mood.
Sure.
And we find that people really like the partner workouts. Even if they don't know each other, they get to know the person. And then they've made a friend in the gym, and it's kind of like an accountability partner. Like I'll have people come in, Amanda's at 10 o'clock. Katie's usually at 10 o'clock, but Katie misses. Amanda will be like, where's Katie today? So it's like accountability. They want each other to show up, and they want to see each other succeed.
Right. Are you all, so do you two train together, or are you all working with separate small groups?
So currently we're working with separate small groups, but in the future, after our move and we open our own business, well, our own gym, because we already have a business, we are going to run these classes together. Instead of doing 2 people in one, we'll have 4, but there will be 2 trainers, so the ratio will be the same.
Yeah, the ratio is just 1 client to 2 clients to 1 trainer, which is extremely personal.
Yeah.
For now, until our business gets bigger. By the way, we're moving in a month, and we just signed a lease for a gym, and we're going to be running our business out of our own gym. So that's where this is coming from. When we move in a month, we're going to be doing 4 people in 1 session. They're going to be kind of like classes where the clients can sign up for a specific class time online on their own. So they don't have to like text us or anything like, hey, can I do 8 o'clock tomorrow? That's currently what we're doing. We receive texts from clients all the time, rescheduling and things. And it's not bad. It just seems like it's kind of unorganized. So through trial and error, we've realized that we need to get some kind of online app where people can go on the app and just schedule themselves in, and it'll send an alert to our phone that says, Rachel scheduled at 4 o'clock for tomorrow, and we'll be there. And it's going to be class style. So people can come and go to any class time, and it's not going to throw anything off.
What encouraged you to make that move to where you're both training a group of 4 at the same time versus your current setup?
We like training together.
Yeah.
We just both have all the same ideologies. I mean, we do everything together, kind of attached to the hip. I personally always hoped that my significant other would be my business partner. Like throughout college, when I was making my ideas in my head to open a gym, which I've always wanted to do, I was like, man, I hope I can, find someone and they will have the same interests that I do. and here we are. Right now I might have 2 clients at 5 p.m. and she'll have 2 clients at 5 p.m., but they're different sessions. And we just talked and we're like, why don't we train them all together and make a big group of 4? Because one time I had 4 people show up at once by accident because of a scheduling error that I made. And I was like, oh man, there's 4 people in this session. I told them there would only be 2, but they actually ended up having a really good time. Mm-hmm. Them afterwards being like, wow, that was really intense. That session was a lot of fun. There were so many people.
And my 2 clients at that hour actually did cancel. So we kind of worked on that session together.
Yeah. There was 2 of us coaching that session, and it was really nice because we could, watch different things. If I had to go to the bathroom or whatever, which is a struggle during training, I'm always like, if I go to the bathroom for 2 minutes during this session, is this going to be the moment where this person drops a barbell on their head or something? It's a horrible thought. So I could go to the bathroom for 2 minutes and Kristen would watch. It just makes things a lot easier to have 2 coaches, even if the number of people is doubled. Because it's better to have 1 person watching like 8 people than have 0 people watching 1 person.
Right. Did you all start this straight out of college, or what was the story of your launch?
I started it first because Kristen was still looking for jobs in environmental science. And then after so many months of being like, the environmental science jobs aren't working out, I was like, why don't you come on over with me, because you're really motivated with fitness. And like, she just picked up on things really well and was so knowledgeable. And I was like, can you please get in this business with me? Like, I'd love to have your help. And so I was doing it first for a while, which was really stressful. And now it's the both of us, which is just so much better. It was right when we moved here after I was done with graduate school. And we've only been in a business here in this location for about 10 months, but we're continuing it in West Virginia when we move next month.
Can you tell us about getting your first client? How did you find them? What were your thoughts and feelings as you're getting ready to start with, the first person you've ever trained? I imagine there would be some nerves there, but I'd love to hear your insight on it.
As far as my first client in Columbus goes, because I've worked at other gyms before I owned this business, but this has been the most serious, just because it's such a long-term investment, and it is truly the last job I'll ever have. I mean, it's my business. So first client for this business, I met in passing at a gym that I was training at, just like a normal corporate gym. And he was asking me about the personal training rates at that gym. And, I was telling him what they were. And he was like, dude, that is so expensive. I can't train here. And I had just signed my lease to start at the warehouse gym, the private gym. And, after I ended up quitting the corporate gym, which was probably just a couple weeks later, I texted that guy back and I was like, hey man, do you want to come over to the warehouse gym and check out what's going on? My prices are this, and this, and I can offer you an amazing service over here, and it's private. It's a private membership place. There is no general membership here. It's a training studio. He came over and I gave him an awesome, intense workout that he hadn't really been able to achieve on his own. He said that he was kind of stalling in his progress, and his workouts were kind of just the same thing all the time. And he was just tired of wasting time in the gym. And he was so pumped about how good of a workout it was. He just signed up for a month out of nowhere, a month at once. And I was so early in my business that I didn't know how I wanted to do my pay structure. I was like, do I want to have people pay every time they come to visit me? Do I want to do a 6-month contract? I was all over the place. But because I didn't know I was a good trainer, but I wasn't a good businessman at that point because I had never gone in business for myself. So luckily, he's still one of my clients to this day. He's been really excited the whole time. So he was a good person to start with. It was good. I'm just glad I didn't get, a difficult situation as my first client. That would have been really stressful.
What did you end up settling on as far as payment structure? Do they pay, per session? Is it per month? Certain contract?
Yeah, it's per month. We figured out that per month works really well. You can't really do per session because what will end up happening is people will get unmotivated and stop coming. And by the time someone takes a decently large break, you kind of lost them. They might fall off the wagon. So paying by month makes it so they've already dropped that large sum of money and they have to show up. If someone pays for 12 sessions at once and it's a few $100, let's say a week later they get really unmotivated and they're like, I don't feel like working out anymore. They have to come because they already paid for it, not refundable. And that might sound kind of harsh, but it's good because that is my way of making sure that they do get healthy in the end. Like, they need to get fit for their own benefit. They need to get fit to see their kids grow up, anything, it's important. And just figuring out little ways that we can make someone show up even when they don't want to, because in the end, they're going to realize that, like, hey, this was good for me and I'm glad I did this. But it can be really hard to get people to stay motivated. And that's just the name of the game, because for a lot of people, fitness is not something they feel like doing. It's kind of like me doing my taxes. Like, I just keep putting it off and I don't want to do it. But I have to. I know I have to because something bad's going to happen if I don't. So that's kind of how it is for some people with working out. They just don't want to do it, and that's okay. But it's my job to make sure that they get there.
Right. You mentioned your first Columbus client at least he wasn't a beginner. Sounds like, he was a lifter who kind of hit some stalls in his progress. What would you say your typical client looks like? Are you catering towards, people like that have a background and now they're stalling and need help? Do you work with beginners? What's the client mix look like?
Both, right? Yeah. What do you have to say about that? I've been talking a lot.
All of mine are absolute beginners. I don't really have anyone that used to lift and just stalled. So we've got most of our clients from Facebook ads, and the way it targets people is it basically goes by age,
gender, income, interests, where they're located in town. So it's one of those things where, what do you like doing? Give me one of your interests. What do you like doing? Tell me. What?
Do you want it to be fitness related or non-fitness related? Anything. I enjoy being outdoors.
Okay, so you might have liked a few pages that are outdoorsy on Facebook. So our marketing professional can see that, and she will market to you. And, you might have an ad come up like, Dick's Sporting Goods, buy one, get one free on cooler, like a tent cooler or something like that, like an outdoorsy thing. Well, that's us with the ads. It'll just pop up and it'll say sponsored. And it's kind of like marketing to people that are already interested, but they just haven't done anything about it. So we kind of get people signing up that are ready to go. We don't have to do too much convincing. They've seen that. They've followed the prompts to our website, which has a survey. Once they submit the survey, it comes to our email, and we get to contact them and reach out. And the survey has all the things we need to know in there. What's your motivation? What's your current, workout routine? What do you need to do? What are your goals? Things like that. And we can just kind of have a conversation with them next. It works nicely.
So you do your intake survey online?
Yeah.
Very cool.
we'll do a consultation either in person or on the phone.
Do you have a favorite client story that you love sharing?
You?
Yeah, one of my clients, when she submitted that, what do you call it? Just a submission.
Consultation submission.
Yeah, a consultation submission to our website. She specifically said, I'm tired of trying to be skinny. I want to be strong.
Right.
And that right there, I was like,
I love that.
hey, I love it. Like, let's get going. And she's already a runner. So she does her cardio, and she was just so ready to start lifting. And just last week, she told me that she can see herself getting into lifting more than running at this point because she just loves it. Like, she sent me a picture flexing the other day. She is just so excited. And honestly, it's just so humbling to see that, you know, I could help someone find something that they love so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
Definitely.
Rick, do you have one?
I remember that guy that I was telling you about that was my first client ever. He used to make Snapchats that were like every day it would have the number of the day on it from when he started his fitness journey. So he'd send me one every day, day 81, and it would be him doing something health conscious, like eating, you know, healthy food. Day 82, him going on a hike with his family. So that was really cool. I got one of those Snapchats every single day. That was awesome. I didn't give him that idea. He came up with that on his own. I loved it. And one day, it was day 182. I remember specifically. It's up here because I was so happy. He sent me this side-by-side picture of him when he was very out of shape and him standing with his family when he was looking real good and confident and happy after training for probably 5 months. And that was 182 days. And I was just like, whoa. And he said, you changed my life, man. But like, it was so heartfelt to me. But then again, I was like, dude, you changed your life. I didn't do that for you. Like, you came and put in the hard work. I just gave you the plan and, you know, sat next to you and made sure you were all right. Like, I didn't do the hard work for him. So just, it was so cool. It was good.
That's amazing. Why should someone train with you all versus another trainer? What's your pitch?
We care. We just care so much. I mean,
legitimately care.
Yeah. I just want everybody to feel as strongly as I do about being healthy. Like, It's so important. I could never be unhealthy because I just know what it feels like to be fit and be happy with my body. There's so many people out there that are uncomfortable with their body. Like, they just look in the mirror and they just feel disgusted, and you don't want to feel like that. That's not good. So you want someone standing by your side that knows your struggle. And because I've been there, I didn't like how I looked. I was like, I'm a skinny wimp. But you want someone by your side that knows your struggle and then has the knowledge to get you out of it and above it. And you want someone who looks at you more than just a customer. Like, these people aren't just customers to us, they're our friends, you know? Like, people will text me, hey, I can't show up tomorrow. I'm having a really bad week. I feel really depressed. That just happened a couple weeks ago with one of my clients. And I was like, what happened? Is everything okay? And she started telling me that, you know, her and her boyfriend were arguing a lot and it was really stressful. And she's feeling in a funk. And, you know, I tried to give her my advice and talk her through it. It's more than just the customer side of it. They're not just customers, they're people too. So we care and we've got the knowledge. So you got to put those two together.
I love it. That's amazing. I want to be respectful of your all's time. So I want to transition into a bit of a wrap up. So these are completely random questions, not really related to fitness or anything like that. You can both answer. You can trade off. One of you can answer. It's totally up to you all. The first one, if you had to live anywhere in the world other than where you currently live, where would you pick and why?
I feel like you've got some interesting answers.
I'm all over the place. I would love to live in Australia because I would get to see marsupials. That just sounds amazing. Like the fauna over there is just so different from what I'm used to. They're just so cool. So many cool critters over there. I just want to see them.
I would love to be in Colorado because the outdoor activities there are just insane. I'm a mountains guy.
What single book has had the biggest impact on your life and why?
What a good question.
I am not a huge reader.
Me neither.
I honestly, as cheesy as this sounds, I would say that my ACE certification book has had a huge impact
I mean, that
on my life. It's helped me learn new stuff and really kind of put me in the direction of where I want my path to be. While I was searching for these environmental science jobs, like I would see it and I'm like, no, I don't even want to do this. Like I had an internship where I traveled from Ohio to like Virginia Beach up to northern West Virginia, just living in hotels, and it was miserable. And that's all the jobs there are. And I'm like, all I care about is fitness. Like, but it never really clicked. Like, why don't I just pursue that? Because I was scared because I have the degree. It's kind of hard to spend 4 years on something and then, just kind of not use it. But I'm really happy that I got that ACE certification book and took the leap.
Love it. What innovation in human civilization are you most looking forward to in your lifetime? So a couple examples: artificial intelligence, renewable energy, cryptocurrency, artificial or virtual reality, stuff like that.
I know my answer. Do you want me to say mine?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I am very excited for renewable energy. Coming from the coal country.
West Virginia.
I've seen what it does to creeks and all the watersheds, and it's hard to watch. I'm just really excited for us to take on.
What are you doing? Oh.
For us to really, utilize what we have. I actually saw a Facebook post today about Portugal, I believe. They're creating more than 100% of their energy by renewable resources. And I'm just really excited for us to implement that.
Better standards regarding farming and the food industry for animals. There's a lot of things wrong with all that.
Definitely.
How animals are treated that are being, used for commercial purposes. So, yep, that's mine.
Like it. What is one life-altering change you recommend a person make that would only take 10 minutes a day?
I would go with, if meditating isn't quite your thing, which I know some people, the idea of finding your inner peace or Zen or anything is not desirable. Take 10 minutes a day to really, set your phone aside, put it on silent, and just sit there and breathe. Like, just don't think about anything but your breath, because sometimes I'll do that before bed if I'm feeling really frantic about anything. I'm horrible. Like you said last night, if you don't have a to-do list, you forget about it. I have a to-do list, and it's constantly just there reminding me, and I just really focus on my breath, and I end up falling asleep. And it's really helped me calm down a lot.
Yeah, I'd say just if you're a person who's always on the move, just go outside and sit for 10 minutes, do nothing. Like, give yourself time to do nothing. I know that when I first got here in Columbus, I only moved here for work. Like, we don't have any family here or anything. So I moved here for work, and it really felt for a while like the only thing I was supposed to be doing here was being productive. And it really got me in like an anxious state of mind. So just go outside, get a rocking chair or something and just sit and forgive yourself for not being productive in that 10 minutes, because like you deserve it. I mean, the whole point of life is to be happy. So if you're always going and going and going and going and you're just running yourself dry, like take a second, just chill.
Yeah, it's amazing how quick 10 minutes can seem until you sit there and do nothing for 10 minutes. And that's the way you feel. If you're like me and sitting still for 10 minutes feels excruciating, that's exactly how you know you need to be doing that constantly.
That's me, yeah.
Well, listen, Kristen and Rick, this has been awesome. I think we have a bunch of material people can learn from. I really appreciate you all taking the time to do this. Where can people reach out, say hi, learn more about your training? Where can they reach you?
Business emails, right?
Yeah, we have our emails.
What?
I'm on Instagram, Teal Covered.
Teal, TEALCUPBOARD, Teal Cup Board, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
Our Facebook page is Markoski Fitness.
MARKOSKI, right?
Yeah. Fitness is the Facebook page, and that's probably the best place to reach us.
Definitely, we're always on it.
Internet-wise, always on there. We've got a lot of client videos and things on there. That's all we post is pictures and videos of our clients doing cool stuff. So check it out.
Yeah, I follow Chris on Instagram. I follow the Facebook page. Really good material. I check it out every day. Recommend everyone at home do it as well. So thank you all so much, and hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks,
Alex.
I hope you do as well. Thank you so much.